Hi guys, hope you're all well. Today I want to talk about self-doubt and fear when it comes to being presented with doing something new or going somewhere new, and you immediately say no because you have self-doubt and you have fear. And what I've noticed is that there's two parts of this. There's that self-doubt and fear coming from a place of lack of self-belief and lack of self-confidence, and then there's also that the knowing yourself, knowing what you like, what you don't like. So I'm going to give some personal examples. So for example, when someone suggests that you do something together, invites you to do something new, like an activity, for example, ice skating, or some water sport, any kind of new activity. And if you notice you immediately want to say no, you don't want to do it. There's that. It can be coming from a lack of self-belief and a lack of self-confidence that you're not going to be able to do the activity well, and therefore you'll feel embarrassed or stupid, and you won't enjoy it for that reason. The other side is perhaps knowing that that's not your kind of thing, and that you won't enjoy it, or you won't enjoy the environment. But I do believe that if you've never done it before, then you can't be certain that you're not going to like it. I would definitely encourage you to actually try it for the first time before you assume that you're not going to like it. Another example is to do with my mum. And I've always thought that this was a classic mum thing. I'm not sure if it is, if it's just her or not. But my mum does not have any fear or doubt when it comes to talking to new people. Whether it's, to ask a question, ask for help, or just make conversation. And so, particularly when we were on holiday in the past, or still today, she still does it. She used to say, "Oh, let's just go and ask that person," or let's go and talk to those people. They look like your age, that kind of thing. And my immediate reaction would be like, "No, I do not want to do that." Especially if I was involved, of course. And so there's part of that was coming from a lack of self-confidence in myself, of like not knowing what I'm going to say, feeling embarrassed. Also a fear of that person might not want to be spoken to, then are they going to like it if we just go up to them? Or sometimes a fear of we can't do that, like my mum would love to go into hotels and ask if we can look around as if we're going to stay there, but we're actually just curious. And I'd be like, no, we can't do that. So it's just like this fear of what are people going to think, And then the other side to that, of course, is that, as I've got to know myself better and my introvert needs, going up to a stranger to make a conversation is not something that I would naturally do or even think that I would like to do. I'd much prefer it to be a mutual coming together, or where in a place where everyone is meeting new people, at a party or an event, or just to have some kind of certainty that that person wants to be spoken to, rather than it just being spontaneous and random. And also, as an introvert, I need to be in the mood to actually socialize and to want to talk and want to listen. But I have to say that I totally admire my mum for not having that fear and doubt of, what's that person going to think, or, what's she going to talk about, kind of thing. And I do recognize like how beautiful it is to just be able to, you know, do something as simple as make a conversation, have a conversation with someone new, you know, a stranger. So yeah, there's a part of me that really recognizes that, and a part of me that would love to be more like that. But again, I think knowing myself now more as an introvert, it does depend on my mood and my energy, and I could be in that state of being willing to go up to someone new. Now, another example is also to do with my mum, who was always the one to encourage me to apply for part-time jobs or look for part-time jobs, apply for jobs, because I never had that drive to, you know, like apply to loads of places and to start making money from an early age. I just didn't have that drive. And you know, part of that was a lack of self-belief and a lack of self-confidence in my abilities, you know, to actually do the job well. So like I remember when I had my first bar job, I would get home from the shift and write down everything that I had learnt in that shift, because I just wanted to be able to do it well. And you know, part of that is a kind of perfectionist thing, and also to do with a fear of disappointing the customer or my boss when I don't like that. So especially making drinks was a big deal for me. And then so the other side of that is obviously knowing my introvert preferences. So you know, a job like a bar job is you know, you're around people, you have to be social, you have to be polite, and it can be for a significant amount of hours, you know, if you have a long shift. And so knowing that now, that's not my you know, preferred environment. I think my ideal kind of job was when I was left to do things. I was busy enough to do things on my own that didn't require so much social interaction. So yeah, and my mum actually was the one that encouraged me to apply for the job that is where I am today in Oman. So that was nearly 4 years ago. When I first saw this job advertised, I was living in the UK and kind of thought it was like, you know, I just mentioned this job thinking almost as a joke, you know, like as if I'm going to go to the Middle East and take that job. But my mum encouraged me to apply anyway, and I had one interview which was like, okay, maybe this could be an option. Then I had a few months actually before I had a second interview, and in the end, you know, I had a deadline to decide, and in the end that decision came from me, and to, you know, to actually go for it. And that's because after that initial fear I had of like, no way am I going to go to a new country, a new culture, don't know anyone, new job, I recognized that I also, you know, a big part of me wanted to have new experiences. I wanted to meet new people. I wanted to grow. I wanted to get out of my comfort zone. And you know, this example is actually also an ideal example of how introverts need time to make, you know, decisions. But I would say that it can be detrimental as well to have too much time, because I personally end up going back and forth. Should I, shouldn't I? Weighing up the pros and cons, and you know, eventually it can drive you a bit crazy. But I would say that because I did have that time to do my research and to mentally process the idea of moving abroad, you know, when it came to me having to decide, I could make my decision. Whereas if I had only been given 1 week to decide, for example, I know I wouldn't have gone because it just would have been too soon. So basically, I would say that the next time you're presented with a new opportunity to do something new, go somewhere new, and you sense that you want to say no, just try and first try and differentiate between, is it a fear of, you know, a lack of self-belief, or, you know, lack of confidence that you're not going to do something right, or worrying about what someone else is going to think, or is it just, you know, a part of you knowing your own needs and preferences. But if it's the first time you're going to do something, always just, you know, give yourself a few more minutes or more time to make that decision before you immediately say no to someone. You know, you just ask yourself, could it be fun? Could it be a potential new hobby? You know, something that you get better at? Could it be something just new and different to do with your friend or with a partner? And also know that the first time you do something, it's probably, you know, or may not be amazing the first time because it's new. I remember when I first joined my fitness group, I know the first time I went, I was very self-conscious, you know, being in a group of people who I hadn't met. But I enjoyed the activity itself, and I decided to go back and go again. And, you know, in the end, I went like 3 times a week, and it became, I absolutely loved it. I made like great friendships, and I physically noticed how much more relaxed I was after a few times. So that's something else to consider. And yeah, that's it. So if you know, please like, share, comment if you found this useful, and if this is relating with you, or if this is resonating with you, please do download my free self-discovery guide, and you can also join the Confident Introvert Tribe, which is my private Facebook group. Links will be below. See you next time.